All right, drum roll please. Let's get started. Welcome everybody to another part of the Expedition series, and specifically this five-part kind of second series, which is an A to Z for advisors looking to, for new advisors getting into the game, or advisors looking to kind of enhance or sharpen their skills in terms of just growing their 401k practice. For this five-part series, we did a point of sale prep. We did a onboarding and conversion of new clients. I'm doing the ongoing service model today. Then upcoming, we have Chad Johansson doing prospecting, Jessica McNeil doing point of sale techniques, and those come on July 21st and August 4th at the same 10 a.m. Pacific time. Don't forget, for more education, there's always Retireaholics, the first and third Thursday at 4:30 Pacific. Next show, July 16th. Special guest, Kevin Spaeth of Penchecks. Check it out. Today's topic, let's go. I'm doing the ongoing sales process presented by me. I go by Mr. Carlson for all of you out there. If you'd like to refer to me, I'm Mr. Carlson. And what are we going to talk about today in terms of the ongoing service model? What's the problem? I've been on a ton of these point of sale meetings, and I'm going to tie together why point of sale has anything to do with the ongoing service model. But I think every point of sale is kind of in one way, shape, or form this concept of the plan sponsor thinking, why should we hire you versus someone else? Like, why are you the person for this job? And I did a post on LinkedIn yesterday about how a lot of advisors drop the ball when this moment comes along. And I got a lot of private messages and a lot of feedback where a lot of industry people really agreed with me. Um, by the way, Grant Ellis, who I'm a huge fan of, financial advisor, does a podcast, did an entire podcast on this subject where a lot of starting out advisors were coming to him looking for success, for guidance. As he would start to kind of talk to them, he'd quickly realize that they really hadn't even built out their service model yet. And he thought that that was like a huge problem. Like, how can you go sell? How can you go grow your business if you don't know what you're selling? It's like bringing a product to market and the product's not even complete yet. So as I talk today about the ongoing service model, please don't forget that packaging all that up and communicating that properly to a prospect is also like a killer way to win new business, and seems obvious, but a lot of people are missing that opportunity. A presentation caveat. I might, when I go through all this, say it might seem a lot like I'm trying to push you to like be an expert or be like this ultra professional, and yeah, maybe in a way I am. I think that, by the way, that's very doable. I'll talk more about that, but I don't think that's how you should interpret everything I'm about to show you. You can decide like where you want to fit on the whole kind of expert spectrum. So, because you can make a lot of these things very easy, very scalable, very time efficient, if that's really your goal. And we'll kind of expand on that a little more. Starts with a proper plan, of course. Anytime you want to execute on something, you got to have a pretty well-defined strategy, if you will. So this could be a written service agreement. I think that's a great way to go about it. It doesn't have to be like a contract. At the very least, it just needs to be this like well-defined strategy that you've laid out and that you're accountable to and that your clients know that you're accountable to, or maybe even they're accountable to it with you. But something like a written service agreement or some type of strategy. What do I mean by that? Let's hit the basics. Some of you are aware of this. Like, how many fiduciary review meetings are you going to do? Are you going to do them quarterly? Are you going to do them semi-annually? Are you going to do them once a year? How many group employee education meetings are you going to do? If any, maybe that's not your strategy. Up to you. It's your business model. But how many of those are you going to do? Are you going to do them live and in person? Are you going to do them digitally? Are you going to record them like a webinar that participants can access on demand? How are you going to approach that? Delivery of investment reports. Our advisor for our plan, we're somewhere north of 3 million. Like, I forget how many participants are in the plan. 25 or something. We have 30 plus employees, but you didn't need to know that. Our advisor gives us quarterly reports for our fund analytics that I get via email. And they give it, and there's someone I can talk to there, but it gives me a nice overview. And if there's an action item where like a fund needs to be removed or replaced, they kind of outline that versus delivering that in some live type of quarterly meeting, which I sit on a lot of larger clients where that's exactly how it's done. So again, up to you. You're the entrepreneur. This is your business model. Plan sponsor education is a new trend. Are you carving out a meeting live or digitally each year or several times a year to walk the plan sponsor through their own education, helping them understand their fiduciary responsibility, like as a separate act? Or are you kind of just building that into the classic fiduciary review meeting? And then one-on-ones with the employees. Are you taking those calls? Are you setting up one-on-ones with people? Not saying you have to, just saying if that's part of your strategy, how do you go about doing it? Do you have an open Calendly invite for people that can schedule times with you? What is your strategy as it relates to one-on-one support with the participants? Reiterate the plan often. What I mean by this is I think your plan sponsor, your client should know what the strategy is, what the approach is, and I think you should remind them on a very consistent basis. There's a bunch of reasons for this, but one of the main reasons is I want them to know what it is that you do and how often you do it. I want them to know that because I want you to be protected when someone else comes sniffing around your plan and wants to steal it from you. I want the first thing for the client to think is, well, wait a second. Our person does A, B, C, D, E, and I know they do it on these frequencies, et cetera, et cetera. Your secret plan. Okay, beyond, this is a little weird, but I like this. Beyond what's been outlined, beyond your written service agreement or that strategy that's been well communicated, maybe you have some kind of little secret objectives that are just for you to know. And what I mean by that is I want you to do things for the client that are unexpected, that aren't part of that written plan. Examples. You might share via email some articles on topics within the industry. Maybe you had a fiduciary review meeting several weeks ago. Maybe automatic increase was a big talking point. You see a phenomenal article about that, or Fred Reich wrote an awesome blog post, and so you email certain people on the committee or the entire committee that article with a little 1-2 kind of summary from yourself. Great way to, oh, when I say set the secret plan, have a goal for yourself. Like, say to yourself, I'm going to do that, every month or every quarter or however you want to set it up, but have it be a real strategy. This is, again, your secret plan. In addition to that, friendly check-ins. Maybe you're just telling yourself, hey, I want to make sure I touch each of my clients, every other month with some type of friendly check-in and just, hey, checking in, want to know if everything's running smoothly on the 401k. I know we implemented auto increases in Q1. Is that going as planned? These check-ins. Conference or education updates. I always love when I see this. I love when I see when advisors go to a conference or they take some type of class that they let their clients know, hey, I did this. I spent, 3 days in Nashville learning, A, B, C, and D, and I think it's really kind of leveled up my practice, and I'm excited to implement it. So I think these are also phenomenal ways to touch your client and show them that you're doing things. New vendor, bells or whistles. hey, you got a plan with Voya or several plans with Voya. Voya comes out with something new. You think it's kind of sexy and cool. I know they send out their little emails, corporate emails, but I want something to come from you saying, hey, you sniffed this thing out. You looked at it. You think these are the pros and cons, and you think maybe they should pay attention to this new bell or whistle. And then participant interaction summaries. If Joe or Mary participant is reaching out to you for some type of one-on-one support, roll over into the plan, question about their investments, whatever the case. I think it's cool every once in a while to update your plan sponsor through email that, hey, I really enjoyed. I'm going to give you a more formal way to add this to a fiduciary review, but I also think it's cool for you to say like, hey, I met with Bob, we discussed this, and I really enjoyed talking to him, or he said great things about the HR department, or what have you. Okay, so your secret plan is in addition to all those things I mentioned earlier. What can you do throughout the year to really show this client, like, wow, shit, this person's really on top of it? Like they're living and breathing this stuff on the day to day and willing to support and help us. I'm so horrible at paying attention to the chat bar. I'm sure Chad can chime in on people. Oh, you're just talking about acrosins and stuff. Okay, I'll move on. um, Next slide. Document the work. This is probably goes without being said, but I mentioned those participant interactions. Record these non-visual interactions and services to present to the committee in the future, right? So you're going to go in there with certain things, and we're going to talk about some of those things that are standardized. But I also want you to add to that meeting the concept of letting them know, like, hey, I interacted with 16 participants in this last quarter on these four different topics. In addition to that, I spent time on the phone with your vendor, with Empower, problem solving this, helping resolve this, et cetera, et cetera. And then data analysis, coming to these meetings with additional stuff that's saying, yeah, in addition to everything that we normally do, I want you to know, like, I got my hands on your 2025 census. I saw that a quarter of the people making over 100K are, not getting the full match. I have a strategy that I'd like to address that. This is it. I've been looking at targeted fund adoption. It's slowed with new hires. Maybe this is something we need to address. Again, additional things. I didn't state this, but I sit in on a lot of fiduciary review meetings, which to me is like, I don't know, these days, like 90% of what the ongoing service model is. And a lot of them just look like, hey, let's review the quarterly package from the record keeper, and we'll go through it in a monotone voice for 60 minutes, take your questions, talk about the funds, et cetera. We all know, the three F's. And so what I'm talking about here is like bringing more to the table in regards to that. Why do I want to bring more? Because I want to make you the expert, the professional. I want to make you like invaluable to the client. We'll continue through vendor analysis. First and foremost, I really think it's important, and I've seen this work so successfully for a long time. Make sure that your client, make sure the plan sponsor knows that you're independent from the vendors, from the record keeper, from the TPA. Like they need to know that you're the boss, you're the quarterback, you're the person in charge. And so, and I'm speaking as one of those vendors, it's totally okay to make me less than and make you more than. Like make sure that they know that you're the one running the ship. I think that's very important. And it's really easy to slide that in on a consistent basis to show them that you're their advocate, right? And that you're not tied to any one of these vendors should something go awry or need changing for whatever reason. I mentioned earlier a little bit, stay up on vendor bells and whistles. These things can be really impactful. They can be really exciting to plan sponsors at times. And so I think if you're keeping your finger on that pulse, that's just going to accentuate your value to them. If you weren't letting them know about these things, they might gather dust or not get noticed at all. Monitor service levels and report on this. Check in on, How's the third party administrator doing? How's the service person and the record keeper doing? This can be a quick little easy call or an email just to check in and make sure that things are going okay. And I think, again, so important to let the client know that you're looking out for them in this area. Anytime you discover something that's gone not great, you can potentially insert yourself to help fix it. But so again, these are all ways for you to provide more value. Stick your nose in the compliance calendar. Sure, rely on your bundled provider or your third party administration to make sure that things are happening as they should on time, but can't hurt for your client to know that you're aware of this calendar. Think of it like this: a quick little email in early January for a plan year end client saying, "Hey, did you get your census collection and have you filled it out, or is everything going okay with that?" These are again just phenomenal ways for the client to think to themselves when someone else goes knocking on their door, like, "Oh, no, 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 my 401k person is A plus. Like they do all these things and keep out an eye for us throughout the year." Fee comparisons, benchmark regularly, and be transparent with your own comp. I see a lot of advisors out there that are great at like grinding and benchmarking the record keeper fee or even the third party administration fee, but seem to be really silent when it comes to their own compensation. And I think this is bad for you in a variety of ways. Like, one, just from good old fashioned integrity, like you should be transparent with your fee and be proud about it. But two, I would argue if you are that way and you're showing the services you're doing, if you feel like there's clients where you're not profitable, then these are great times to have conversations with them about increasing your fee. And then, on the flip side, if you have clients that are getting out of whack and your fees are too high, you can assess those as well. But I don't think anyone can argue with me that you just want to be very transparent with your own comp as well. And I'm just being honest with you guys. I just see that being missed a lot. And I think that's a powerful thing that you can do to really increase your standing with clients. And we'll talk more about this in terms of you being an expert. Um, when I said make sure they know that you're independent from the vendors, whose client is this? This is your client. This is your client, man. This isn't the TPA's client. This isn't the record keeper's client. This is freaking your client. And I think everyone should know that in this relationship. And the better you know that, the more you're going to put yourself in that kind of number one position, which I think is very, very important. Track the progress. Go beyond the vendor quarterly reports. I mentioned earlier, I see a lot of this. It kind of irks me, to be real. Like showing up to these fiduciary review meetings with the Voya thing, the Empower thing, the principal thing, the whatever, and then walking through it kind of front to back, to me is leaves a lot to be desired. Like I think you can do way better than that. So I'm saying here is, and what a great place in this new kind of AI world, but go beyond the vendor quarterly reports, okay? Like get a true understanding yourself from the administrator and from those reports, the plan balances, the average account balances, the return of the plan versus the market or versus like a properly weighted index based on the participants. Retirement readiness, where do the participants stand in terms of their age and account balances, or how deep you want to get into retirement readiness. Like go for it if that's what you want to do. Fee reduction results, you saved them 10 basis points back in Q4 of 2024. Remind them that, for the next few years of like, hey, this is money saved. This is how much money we saved in 2025 and into 2026 through that price reduction. And that's money in the pockets of the participants. That's going to win you a lot of fans, on that committee or with that client. And then classic, like fiduciary briefcase, when you're tracking progress, don't forget to remind them on the regular that all this stuff is being kept and this is all going to be for their defense. If someone comes around wanting to know if this plan is being run properly, they can access all this tracking of progress and all these reports historically to prove that the plan is acting in the best interest of the participants and their beneficiaries, yada yada. So I think that's just very, very important. Oh, why tracking progress too? Like, I want to track progress because I want to find creative ways to show my clients that things are improving, right? I want them to see metrics. I want them to see that the plan balance is going up, that the average account balance is going up, that the participants are well diversified and have good returns as they should. Like, these are all things I want to show them in real tangible metrics so they get a feeling like they have someone leading them down the path or up the mountain to the peak. Sorry, I'm not as good as Mark Palmini and his backpack references, but this is very important to let them know that things are happening as they should, and that's why you want to track that progress as well. All right, here's some more kind of inspo shit. Like, be a leader, be indispensable. Like, um, stand out on your own. Don't lean too hard on the vendor outputs. I talked about that. So easy to do in today's day and age. Have your own ideas. Challenge the decision makers. I talked about this my first presentation for the expedition series about kind of pissing off your prospects. And for the same reason, like to build trust, you need to challenge the people on the committee when it's appropriate. I've done this, so I'm not just talking in concept. Like, I've done this for a long time in terms of sitting in on fiduciary review meetings, and I guarantee you, if you ask these clients why they value JD coming and sitting on these meetings alongside some of our advisor partners, these are our bigger clients, they would say because like we need his input. Like, he's not afraid to say to the CFO, like, no, you're wrong. That's not what we're talking about here. This is why we're doing this. And once you do that, you really build trust with them and they realize, okay, we have to have this person. Like, we'd be lost without them. We would not make it up the trail to the top of the mountain without this person leading us. So again, if you're going to lean on those vendor outputs, I just feel like you're making it look like Voya can do this without you, and I don't like that. So I'd really like you to kind of make that your own. Um, be confident, have your own ideas, have goals for this plan and be willing to share them. I always put myself in this headspace. Think of yourself as like part of their team. Maybe that sounds cliche or obvious, but like feel like no, I'm responsible for this plan alongside them, and I have a voice just as much as they do. And not only that, but I have a little more expertise than they do, and so I need to kind of take that role on and guide them as I feel like I should. So, um, to do that, do your homework and your preparation. Like, it doesn't take that much time to just have a general understanding of what's happening with this plan, where the funds are, how they're doing, what ones need to be replaced or not replaced, and why, and make sure you understand how to answer several questions around that, which I'll get to here. Be an expert. You're a financial advisor, man. Be able to answer financial advisor stuff. When a plan sponsor says, or the CFO says, hey, why should we leave in a fund that's ranked a 7 when we could just replace it with a 10? I can't tell you how many times I've seen this brought up and how many times I've seen advisors kind of wilt or shrivel in this debate. Instead of reminding them that there's an investment policy statement, there's a methodology to rank these funds, and it's built on a lot of things it's not just performance. And so when a fund meets that requirement, it's doing what it needs to do. That's an argument you need to be ready to have and explain to people why the process is in place. You can't just be replacing everything with something that's better than it all the time. I had a recent client interaction, large plan around style drift. There was a fund that had fallen below the criteria and needed to be replaced. The advisor brought, I think it was 3 funds as options, maybe it's 4 funds. And one of the funds just had like phenomenal, I think it was 5-year performance when compared to the others. And there's like 2 or 3 people on the committee that just gravitated to that fund. Like, why would we not have this fund? Like, this fund looks to be killing it. And when you looked at the fund a little closer, it was not doing well in style drift, meaning if it was a large cap value fund, it wasn't really acting like a large cap value fund. And that's why it was getting some of these returns that were very different from its peers. I think that's relevant for a retirement plan. I think that's very relevant when you've built a core menu. Um, but I watched this situation just where the client got their way. Like they wanted the best performing fund and that was it. And no one stood up to them to really kind of, I mean, I tried. I did actually. I wonder if I pissed off the advisor or not. I tried to stand up and push back. So be ready to do that. Like I'm hoping that that client respects me for that, even if they ended up, trumping me in terms of that decision. Um, I see this a lot. When you're going to present that Voya piece or that Empower summary piece, like when the client goes, "Hey, I'm looking at the graph on page 8, and I want need to know, like, does this include terminated participants with a balance?" And you're, and hum and don't know the answer, like I don't think that's okay either. Like if you're gonna use something to present to it, try to understand the details behind it. Like it doesn't take that much to know all those types of things. He hates when my style drifts. Yes, me too. Okay, this might seem a lot. Like I said this at the beginning. But no, no, no. This totally can be scalable. You have to decide like where you want to do certain things. And I gave you like freaking, 20 plus concepts. So you don't have to use them all. You just cherry pick the ones you want to use, maybe the ones that you think are time efficient, assuming that's how you want to build your book. Again, entirely up to you to build it the way you want to build it and be proud of it, and then be able to communicate that to your current clients as well as prospects. I think anything that you've built and you understand and you're proud of and you can explain to someone is going to really put you in a great position in terms of selling new plans as well as keeping the ones that you have. But I just want to reiterate, like so many of these things can be done very quickly, and you can build procedures to get them done very quickly. Um, but if you're with me and you'd like to be a little bit of a more of a pro and kind of do more for your clients and be more of an expert, this is your job, by the way. You are getting paid for these plans. So I think that's a good effort to do. I would argue the better you get at this, the more you could get paid. You could go back to your clients and say, "Hey, I do all these things. I do them very well, and my fee should be X." So my advice is you want to scale it, make it simple and efficient. Totally get it, and very easy to do, especially in today's day and age. You want to kind of move towards the other end of the spectrum, and you want to do more to get paid more. I think that's an option as well. Again, your business, you decide. Because in the end, am I at the last slide? I think I have one more slide. Uh, Keeping a client is the same as winning a client. That's what I was going to write. And then I said, wait, I think there's something more like real out there in the world. So I went and looked and it says, no, 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 JD, you dumb surfer. It costs 5 times more to attract a new customer than it costs to retain an existing one. Yeah, yeah, that's better advice. That makes more sense. So yeah, keeping clients is important, and probably more important than winning new ones. But I think that's the beauty of today's topic that I would really like for everyone to cement in their brain and take home with them is that this ongoing service model will be great for you retaining clients. But if you really learn how to package it up, put it on a one pager, get real smooth with your ability to communicate it to decision makers, I really, really feel like it can help you win a lot of new business. Okay. Um, this was part 3 of a 5-part series of the Expedition series. I mentioned that we got some more coming. Who are we? We are Plan Design Consultants. We are a TPA that's been doing this stuff for beyond 50 years. If you're a financial advisor, I think one of the biggest reasons you should think about us is that we've got a very robust sales team. We've got 4 externals and an internal. We support advisors all across the country. That little map there of the United States, that is actually our clients. So from our client database. So we truly are a national TPA firm. We're in 206 different cities nationwide, and our current total plans, I believe now, is pushing north of 1,200. And the sales team, thanks to Chad, Mark, Justin, Devin, Tristan, is having a stellar year right now. Like we're gonna break records for us this year in terms of new sales. So kudos to them and their support of advisors and winning new business. And so if you're not working with us, we'd love for you to consider working with us. Don't reach out to me. Reach out to Chad Johansson, chad.johansson@plandesign.com. I'm kidding. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, or my email's first name dot last name at Plandesign too. We'd love to help you and support you. And we will, don't forget, Retire Holics, July 16th, and we'll see you on the next rendition of the Expedition series, which I believe is Prospecting with Chad. Thank you very much. I've gone a minute over. I don't want to do that. So I'll let you get your day back, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. This has been another installment of the Expedition series by Mr. Carlson. I'm out.